Hey, what's up guys, it's Star Wars Dojo here today with a brand new video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. Obviously I'm not sick anymore, so that's freaking awesome. But more importantly, I just finished watching the new episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and it is by far my most favorite episode. I rate it 9 out of 10 stars. You're going to see why it's not a 10 out of 10, but you're also going to see why it's a 9 out of 10. And I hope you guys are ready for this breakdown video, and yeah, let's get into it. So the episode starts with Boba in his bacta tank. We see him start dreaming of him riding through the sands of Tatooine on his bantha. We see him arrive at Jabba's palace that is being ran by Bib Fortuna, and he pulls out his Tusken rifle and zooms in and sees that there's guards, and he looks upset. The scene cuts to him eating some sort of really good looking bird, or like some sort of meat, and it just looks really good. Then we see a white flare in the distance. We know that this is the flare from the first season of The Mandalorian when Din is fighting Fennec Shan, and it's really cool. But Boba sees the flare and he hops on his bantha and he heads towards the flare. He ends up finding Fennec Shan. He puts her on the back of his bantha and he takes her to the nearest town, takes her off, and all the people there are cyborgs. They're like half cyborg. They're cyborg puns, the guys that we saw in the last episode. But he takes her into this shop and gives this guy a bunch of credits to work on Fennec to keep her alive because she's about to die. And this is obviously the machinery stomach that we see in Fennec in The Mandalorian. And a little montage goes by of this dude working on Fennec and replacing her stomach with like these metal hydraulics, which is pretty interesting. The scene cuts to Fennec waking up next to Boba and a fire, and Boba tells her to relax and he gives her a black melon. She looks down at her stomach and she looks very terrified and confused, and asks him who he is and what did he do to her. And Boba explains what happened and tells her that he could only do that with the best that he was given, and that he explains he's Boba Fett, and she doesn't believe him. And he asks for her help to get back his Slave One because she owes him for what he did for her, as she is in his debt. And so she agrees to help him get his Slave One ship from Jabba's palace. So they hop on the bantha and get to the scouting point of where they can see the guards. Fennec ends up pulling out this really cool like droid that can like go through like the whole entire palace and scan everything. Then the scene changes to Boba getting rid of his bantha. The droid comes back and shows Boba and Fennec exactly everywhere around the entire palace and where his ship is located. It shows him where all the enemies are and everything, and him and Fennec go and find a little gutter like sewer area of the palace to sneak into, and Fennec pulls out this cool like lighter lightsaber torch thing that like cuts through the steel really easily. It's really cool. But anyways, they get in, they climb through the sewers of the floor, and these chef droids in the kitchen start freaking out and turning into General Grievous and start trying to fight them, but Fennec and Boba take them out quickly and quietly. And Boba ends up finding another little droid that comes in the room and chases him around and pins him against the wall. But then eventually Boba and Fennec reach the Slave One in some sort of little storage area in the palace. They're having to fight their way through endless waves of guards and everything just to get into the ship. Boba finally makes it into the ship, and we get to see just something we haven't seen in a very long time, and it is so cool. Boba tries firing up the ship and everything, but there's no space to fly it, and he ends up hitting the walls and busting part of the wall just trying to get out. And Fennec is shooting like this chain opening up the gate so Boba can pilot the ship out of the palace. They end up breaking free, and her and Boba fly through the sandy sky of Tatooine. Boba asks her where she wants to be dropped off, and she explains that she wants to go wherever he goes. because she's along for the ride. They fly off into the distance, and the scene cuts to the bikers. The same bikers that we saw in the last episode that destroyed the Tusken Raider camp. This is an amazing scene. So we see the bikers, and we slowly see Boba's ship getting closer and closer and closer. He ends up just unloading fire, just destroying all of them. And we hear like the really cool like gun sound of the slave one just shooting and firing away, and we see him just launching rockets at them and everything, and we see Boba's face, and he just looks so pissed off, and he's just unleashing oblivion on these guys. He's just not holding back, and it is so gruesome, it is so cruel, and it's so Boba Fett, and I love it so much, and it's amazing. He ends up flying away, and Boba explained prior that he had some unfinished business to take care of to Fennec, and he flies back to this old Sarlacc pit that he fell in. He goes to flying closer, and Fennec asks what's going on, and he explains he needs to find his armor. His Beskar armor, because he believes it's still there. He doesn't remember it being taken off him, so he's thinking the whole time that it's in the Sarlacc still. He ends up shining a light everywhere in the Sarlacc's mouth until the Sarlacc wakes up and starts trying to pull the slave one into its mouth. He tries eating the ship, and a really cool long scene happens. They're just fighting and trying to get out of there, and Boba's trying to shoot it, and it's not working. And Fennec ends up hitting a little button above their heads, dropping the seismic charge. And when I tell you this is my favorite part of the whole episode, it is literally my favorite part of the whole episode. The seismic charge slowly falls down in the Sarlacc pit, and it goes into the Sarlacc's mouth, and we hear the infamous seismic charge sound that, like, we heard it in The Mandalorian, but it's so nice to hear it again. It was just boom, boom, and just destroyed the Sarlacc into oblivion. It's just non-stop, just explosions and shooting and bombs, and it was amazing. But then the scene cuts to Boba climbing out the dead Sarlacc without his armor. He hopped in there to try to see if it's in there, and still no luck. The scene cuts to him and Fennec sitting around a campfire, and Boba offers her a job to work for him, and he offers her shared profits and everything, and he tells her that he'll devote his life to protect her, and she agrees to join him, and it's so cool. We end up seeing Boba in the Bacta tank and starting to wake up, and he starts to have a vision of him shooting Bib Fortuna and taking the throne. He gets out of the Bacta tank, and the droid tells him that he is fully healed. Fennec comes in and tells him that it's best to stay here, and Boba says, no, I'm healed now, we're good, we gotta go explore the town, I gotta show my loyalty to the town. The scene cuts to a bunch of Trandoshans at the casino winning a lot of credits. We see in the background Black Chrysanthemum sitting at the table next to them, obviously drinking a lot, and he looks so pissed off. The reason why is Trandoshans would capture Wookiees and use them as slaves, and so Black Chrysanthemum just looking at them having a good time is pissing him off so much, and it is we already know what's gonna happen. He gets so pissed, his knuckles, his brass knuckles start electrocuting, and he gets pissed and starts beating them up and throwing them around and smashing them into the ground and beating their heads into the table, and he's yelling and screaming, and he picks one up, and the Twi'lek gets in the way and tries calming him down and telling him that she'll remove his debt if he just settles down, and that it's not the old times anymore. He doesn't need to be mad. There's no more slavery. He gets pissed and just rips off the arm of the Trandoshan, which is so funny. It is so Black Chrysanthemum, and I really am happy they showed this part in the episode, because he's a badass. Like, he's so gruesome, he's so brutal. He's not like a normal Wookiee. He's a bad bounty hunter, and we got to see that in this episode. And it was such a nice long scene. It was so cool. But Black Chrysanthemum walks out staring and glaring at Boba, leaving, not giving a crap in the world, and Boba follows him out and offers him a job. He wants him to work for him. And the scene changes to Boba and Fennec having a dinner with the other owners of the territories within the palace area of Tatooine. Boba is speaking with them and hopes to come to an alliance with them, and they ask Boba and say, why should we not betray? What's going to keep us from betraying you and killing you right now and taking over your land? We see the Rancor shove his claws through the floor and hit the table, and everybody jumps away except for Boba and Fennec eventually, and then Boba is just like, please sit back down, everything's fine, and everybody's on their toes, just terrified, and it's a really funny scene. Knowing that Boba has a Rancor scares them a lot, and all Boba wants is, if the Pikes show up, he either wants their help or not. He'll, do it with or without them. The only thing that he really wants is that they don't backstab him. They don't betray him for the Pikes, and that's all he wishes for. They do a toast in agreement that they won't, side with the Pikes, and that they'll always, help each other out if they have to, which is really cool. We see Boba branching out and hiring new recruits. We see Black Chrysanthemum in there as well, which is pretty cool. The scene changes to everyone leaving to their respective territories, and we see Boba and Fennec on the balcony talking about how to get more people to help. And Boba says he has a lot of money, and Fennec says, well, with a lot of money you can get a lot of strength or a lot of power with money. And the scene closes this episode by playing the Mandalorian music meshed in with the Boba Fett music, so hinting that Boba will be able to hire the Mando Din to help fight the Pikes. Anyways, guys, yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. The reason why I rate it 9 out of 10 is because I kind of don't really like the whole cyborg stuff in the beginning, and it was kind of weird. But other than that, everything else was fantastic. I loved it. It's by far my favorite episode. If it wasn't for kind of the weird slow start, I would have probably made it a 10 out of 10, but 10 out of 10 is perfect, and nothing's really perfect, but this was damn near close. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Please don't forget to leave a like and tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video for the next breakdown. And yeah, may the Force be with you always.